Welcome to Stories with Brisco and Bradshaw. I would be Bradshaw. That would be your Chickasaw native, your Chickasaw Hall of Famer, Oklahoma's favorite son, Mr. Gerald Brisco. And we have got the bodyguard to the stars, one of the most iconic stars in the history of professional wrestling. Bodyguard for Triple H, bodyguard for Harley Race. I don't know why Harley Race needed a bodyguard. Bodyguard for Lex Luger, Chris Jericho, and so many others. He is Mr. Curtis Hughes. Mr. Hughes, welcome to the show.
Man, I tell you, it's great to be with you gentlemen today, man. I done seen a few of y'all shows, boy, and I tell you, they get a little interesting. I'm looking forward to having some fun with you gentlemen today. And hopefully some more people will get to know about yours truly, Total Protection, Mr. Hughes, and my career and other careers I've helped other young people pursue, and the whole 9 yards. Looking forward to it, no doubt about it.
Well, Curtis, I was thrilled when I ran into you about a month or so ago up in Philly or Jersey, wherever the hell that. They're both the same, Philly and Jersey, so same place there. I'll probably lose some fans over that, man. But it was always a pleasure to see you. I was always a big fan of yours. You know, we got a lot in common. We're both Big 8 guys. I don't know if it was Big 8 when you went there, but it was Big 8 when I went there. Tell us a little bit about Curtis Hughes growing up and you know, I've read, and the great thing about what John and I do, we get to do research on friends that we already know and learn amazing things about our friends there. But I know you grew up being a wrestling fan. Who was it, your grandparents or your parents or who that got you watching it? And you always wanted to be a pro wrestler, right?
Well, you know, when I was a young fella, growing up as a little bitty guy, I'd say about 8 or 9, I reckon, somewhere in there. My dad, he used to have it on the television. He used to watch it all the time. I'm pretty sure, like you guys' parents probably love professional wrestling. So it got the whole family, because back then, the whole family used to watch stuff as a group. You just didn't, you know, hang out in your own room and chill. Back then, everybody, all right, wrestling's on, and then everybody get in front of the TV, and then you watch wrestling, and then Gunsmoke comes on. Well, back then, my dad used to watch it, and then he would take my older siblings up to this place called Memorial Hall. And that was the spot where the superstars of old used to come. And they used to do the shows there. Now, when I was a kid, I used to watch this stuff. It came on about 8 o'clock at night on Channel 41.
Was it KC Wrestling or was it?
It was Kansas City, Missouri. But it was out of Kansas City, Missouri, but they taped in Kansas City, Kansas at the Memorial Hall. You and your brother probably worked there before.
Many times.
You know, and so that was the spot that, you know, I used to go, me and a buddy of mine, we used to go to see where the wrestlers went in at. That was so special. But the one night I was laying there watching television and wrestling came on, and I seen this match between Harley Race and Rufus R. Jones.
Rufus R.
And they had
what's R stand for, by the way?
Rufus R. Jones. Yeah. He told me a long time ago, man, but you know, slipped my mind. But I know it was. Rufus Freight Train Jones. I knew that much. You know, I used to, you know, working shows. Used to do in my little hole in the wall gigs in the little small country redneck towns, and all the black folks would come and they paid to get in. Well, anyway, back to the story why I became the one to be a professional wrestler. I saw Harley Race and I saw Rufus having this freaking knockout, drag out match. Both of them got colored. I think they left Rufus laying out. They doubled up on him or something like that. But that match right there, I was like, oh, shoot. Harley Race pretty good. I like him. And then I started watching him all the time. Every time he was on TV, every time he cut a promo, I was watching him on television. And I was like, man, I want to do that when I grow up. Even though I had got started, my brother, we had went to Chicago one summer. My mom and my dad split up, so we were going to visit him in Chicago one summer. And my dad would come up and get us, and he'd drive us back. Well, one day we were playing in the park, me and the kids, me and my brothers, my siblings, we were playing in the park. And I noticed my brother under me, my brother above me, excuse me, his name was Diotis. We call him Preacher. His nickname's Preacher, okay? And so he was like just born jacked, okay? He didn't really have to work out, okay? Now I had an older brother that was already in the sports, but it was me and him that was always together because we were back to back growing up, being born. So we were like pretty much roommates growing up. But anyway, he got the jump on me as far as doing sports. And one day we were in Chicago, and I was like, hey, man, because he was doing some pull-ups and some all this hard stuff, And I said, yo, bro, you showed me how to do some of that stuff, pull-ups, sit-ups, all that stuff. And man, let me tell you, he showed that to me. Once he showed it to me, I just got into it. And I started reading those old bodybuilding magazines, the ones with the black and white pictures in them with the old timers in there, look like they wasn't on the juice yet. I'm talking about. I had wrestling in the back of so forth and so on. And I would read that type of stuff to try to get in shape, and I'd go up the street when I got old enough to the YMCA. And just started back then, and they had all kinds of old school weights. I'm talking about the thing with the rubber on it, with the shaking thing on your hips. I mean, I'm talking about. That's old equipment.
Hey, Curtis, I don't mean to cut you off, but is that the most worthless machine ever invented?
Oh God! I mean, really,
people really thought putting that around their fat ass would make them lose weight.
Exactly. See, that's the thought I had. I thought it was going to shake off some fat. See, but I was still growing, so fat was burning off anyway. But so that's how I pretty much got my start from my bigger brother showing me how to push-ups and sit-ups, and then eventually got to grade school and started, lifting weights that way, and went out for the baseball team. I didn't like baseball because I tried out, and I had started getting bigger than my brother. So that put me at catcher, you see. I mean, ain't no punk or nothing like that, but they were throwing stones at me, man. I'm sitting there trying to catch them with guys standing there with the stick, and I got to focus on him and the guy throwing the ball. So I'm going like, and one day, man, a ball came straight this way, blink, and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to play no baseball. So baseball was out. Then I tried basketball. Now, I was kind of tall, so everybody wanted me to play on their team because I was kind of tall. But I was bigger than everybody else. I started growing, see, because back then, my dad worked at the Wilson Packing House in Missouri. And he used to, he used to stick all these hot dogs and Polish sausages down his boot before he left because we had a lot of people to feed, And he'd come home with all this meat, and he throw it in the deep freezer. We had two big deep freezers. And back then, Mom got food stamps, the paper ones, not the ones with EBT. No, they got paper ones. So they pretty much was like money. And so whenever every month we got the food stamps, we'd go to the grocery store and we'd have like 5 baskets, okay, to put all the groceries in because she got quite a bit of food stamps, But then she'd go home and cook for an army, right? Well, back to the hot dog story. When we got hungry from playing, we'd all come in and we'd get a pack and throw it in the water and boil it. I ain't lying, this is the God's honest truth. My friends would tell you this. I would come outside and I'd have, in bread now, 10 hot dogs in each finger. Coming outside, now I'm gonna eat it, and I ate every last one of them. I mean, that's a true story. That's how I got so big.
So you do good. You do good challenging Joey Chestnut then.
Say that one more time.
You'll be good challenging Joey Chestnut, the hot dog king.
Oh hell yeah! Well, back then, not now. No. But back then, man, we used to eat like that, But as time went on, I got in my 6th grade, and I was strong and I tried out for track. I was lifting the weights, tried out for what else was available at the time. I didn't get to start playing real sports till I got to the 7th grade. But in my junior high, I did track and wrestling, amateur wrestling, and I was pretty good at it. but I was ended up All-American in 3 sports, which was the wrestling, the track, and the football.
Wow.
All-American in those 3. Through the shot put in the disc in high school, and All-American in that championship, all that stuff. Had medals everywhere. And in wrestling, won the title in that, All-American in that.
Was you a heavyweight in wrestling, high school wrestling?
Yep. I was heavyweight. And now remember now, in the back of my mind, I want to be a professional wrestler though. Right. So when I got to high school, I did good in junior high, but when I got to high school, that's when I really decided, all right, wrestling is it. I'm gonna just use football to go to college, period, right? And that's what I did. So I wanted to be good at it though. So this coach, I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but because that's a good story. I'm gonna try to get back to that because you're gonna want to hear about it. But I got as I got older, lifted weights more, got to know a couple of good coaches, that schooled me on how to work out and lift weights and things like that. And back then we didn't have the internet. So, like for example, when I learned how to do the shot put, my coach gave me this thing and it looked like one of them old school photo things where you go with the pages and you can see the guy in slow motion doing the glide to throw the shot put. He goes, watch this, watch this, watch this. And he gave me one for the discs too. And I would watch him over and over and I said, oh, that's how you do it. And I practiced the glide and then I practiced the spin because I used to throw that dadgum shot put wherever. And I was dangerous. So that's why he gave it to me. And then same thing with the disc. I throw the disc, timber, watch out for.
Good thing you wasn't throwing a javelin, right?
I throw the javelin because that hurt my elbow. I tried it though.
They tried.
I was like, no, I don't want to throw that one. That was too hard. I want something I can use my strength because I was a pretty good sized old boy. And so I did the shot put in the disc. I was good at that. And then I was good in the wrestling. And then football wise, I couldn't play football yet. I went through practice in the 7th grade, right? And back then you could practice, but you couldn't play. So they said, oh man, you're a good player. So but we don't want to lose you. So you want to be a manager, tote the water? I was like, hey, I don't care. I just want to be on the team. So I toted water for a few months, And then as soon as I turned in the 7th grade, the coach let me start playing. And I used to watch other people, see how they did the drills, because I didn't want to get chewed out. See, I was a smart guy when it came to practice, because I didn't want to do it 1,000 times. So I let people go ahead of me and see how they were doing it. I'd watch the best ones, and 2 of my best friends, one's Joe Jennings, and the other one's, his name was Riggs. And I still talk to Joe. I don't know what happened to Riggs, but those 2 were the best players on the team at linemen. They were defensive linemen, and back then we played offense as well, so had to play both ways. But I watched those guys on the bags, so I seen how they did the drill, and I said, okay, that's good technique. That's what I want to learn. And I used to watch them now. When it came to going both ways, that's where I stumbled and fell a couple of times. Now, my buddy, I'm telling you about Joe Jennings, he was a guard, right, on offense. And I was a defense. I was on offense next to him, a tackle. And I used to ask him on certain plays I didn't remember. I said, who I hit now? And he'd tell me who to go hit. Who I hit now? And he'd tell me who to go hit. And that's a true story. He would tell me mostly the plays because I was lazy at the time. I was lazy. I didn't feel like studying the plays because I didn't like offense. I really didn't. Defense, you got these X's and you got these O's. Go to the O. Whoever's running with the freaking ball, go to that. And that's what I was a headhunter. And so the coaches, they would use me as on the babyface side because they needed me over there. Now, when I got to high school, I was pretty good at what I did, but Iowa was recruiting me pretty strong. Iowa Hawkeyes, they were on me like flies on crap, man. Coach Snyder, matter of fact, ended up going to be the coach at K-State after my deal. And so I got a letter, start getting these letters in the mail from all these coaches from all over the country. I'm going like, wow, I'm somebody now. And my mom would say, yeah, you got a whole bunch of mail in your bed in there, you know. And I go in there and look in there and see if there's any money in there. You know, if there's any money in there. Ain't no money in that one. Didn't read it. But I opened the big schools. I'd open them. And I, make sure ain't nothing in it. Is it? Now, Iowa and Nebraska, Oklahoma, the big schools. Okay, I had opportunity because Iowa wanted me real bad, and the coach was my head coach in high school was trying to get a gig there as some kind of coach. So if he gets me to Iowa, boy, he got the gig, right? So he treated me like gold. I'm talking about he treated me like I was his freaking golden goose. I mean, I'd stay over at his crib. I'd leave, go to school with him. I'd go to class. He took care of me like I was one of his kids, right? And so anyway, I guess he sent a tape of mine to Iowa. At the time, Coach Fry was the coach. And the coach that was recruiting me, he was the assistant athletic director there at the time. And so he sends me a letter, and I read the letter, and he said he wants to meet my mother. He wants to meet my parents. So all right, I got to tell her, give you their address. So he comes up to visit. We lived in the projects back then in Kansas City, St. Marcus projects. And back then, everybody lived amongst each other, black or white, red, you name it, Hispanic, everybody lived together and got along. So he had to come to the projects, which wasn't like it is, wasn't like it was back in the day when they were shooting each other. Wasn't none of that going on in the projects. So, projects wasn't that bad. It helped me turn out to be who I am today. And so we, how would you say, grew up tight with everybody. Okay, so when he came when I was telling my friends, man, Coach come to see me. Coach Snyder's coming to see me from Iowa.
Who's this? Hayden Fry? Is that who came to see?
No, this is Coach Snyder. He said Coach Snyder first. Yeah. Then he came later. But he let Coach Snyder recruit me. See, wine and diamond, you might say. I ain't gonna get in trouble now because it don't matter. Yeah. But he let Coach Snyder wine and dine me because I was as big as fish, you might say. And so he would come to visit. He would come often to my mama's house to talk to her, to tell her what we had planned for me and my college career, the whole 9 yards. And then my coach was like, Curtis, you ought to go to football camp in Iowa. I was like, how much that cost, Coach? He goes, don't worry about it. Don't you worry about a thing. And I said, yeah, I'll go. And they sent me to football camp at Iowa for 2 summers in a row. Okay? 2 summers in a row, I went to football camp at Iowa. And then one summer, I went to Nebraska because Nebraska wanted me pretty bad. Coach McBride, that's who it was. He was the linebacker coach, I believe. But he would come and he would talk to my mom and try to wine and dine me to get me to go to Nebraska. And so, they give you 5 visits. But I'm gonna go back to my high school career because it was really interesting. Say, for example, in my high school days, I called myself professional wrestler. I ain't got that far. I'm an amateur wrestler in high school now. And on the weekend, back then, you could drink all you want and the parents didn't get in trouble. The parents would buy the kids a keg of beer and they would leave the house to the kids and we would have a keg party. And all the students would come over. Nobody had no gun. Nobody got shot. Only thing was going to happen, somebody's going to have a difference and they're going to put the dukes up. And then after that, they're going to shake hands and life goes on. So that's what we used to do now. All night long drinking beer and whatever, right? Now, the next day, I got to go to a freaking wrestling meet. I have to go to a wrestling meet. So I got to get up early and get to the gig. So I get up, I get in late. My mom gets me up and says, you got to meet, oh, shit, Now I'm hungover now. So I get to the freaking gig, and now they wind us all in, and you can just smell booze just reeking off of it. But they ain't see nothing, so they ain't gonna say nothing. So they just like, yeah, everybody does that. It's all good, right? So while we're getting weighed in, I'm a bully. I was a bully back then. I'd say, who's all the heavyweights here? They'd be like, me. I was like, you might as well. I'd say this is the shoot. I say, you might as well forfeit because I'm gonna beat you pretty bad. And they would see me. I'd go to lock up and headbutt somebody, smack dab in the nose. I did stuff like that, and so it got around the state in Missouri that Curtis was a dirty wrestler. Only did it with the good people, because they'll tie you up and then you got to tap out, And I was like, I don't let this guy tie me up. He ain't gonna punk me, that kind of thing. And so, I did that. And then track, I told you about that. I was All-American in that. How I became All-American in track and field, I would never use the shot put from high school and the disc from high school until the day of the meet. I'd use a college disc and a college shot put in practice all week.
Now, Curtis, for the people that don't know, high school is what, 9 pounds, and college was what, 12 pounds, something like that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, college. I think college was 12. No, 16. Excuse me.
16 and 12. Okay.
Yeah, 16, and we was 12. High school was 12. Yeah. And I forgot what size the disc is, but the college disc was kind of big and weighed a little more. But the high school was kind of big as my hand. And see, when I messed that finger up, I couldn't throw the disc no more, because it couldn't bend, unless I. But I was already done with that. But yeah, so I did that, and the most important thing I enjoyed was football, and that was the one that really got me to college. And I was telling you about how Coach Snyder recruited me heavily, Coach McBride from Nebraska, from Oklahoma. It was Coach Switzer. Coach Switzer recruited me from there. And I can't remember the other guy's name. There was a few brothers there at the time. They were black guys. They recruited heavy too. I've got the names. Sorry about that. But I went to all these schools. I went to 5 visits. I went to Arizona State. I went to KU. I went to K-State. I went to Iowa. And I went to Nebraska. Okay. Did I say Nebraska twice?
Yeah. John Blake was a college coach there at Oklahoma, I think you're talking about.
Who?
John Blake, something like that, I think.
No, I forgot their names. It'll come to me, I'm sure, as I'm talking here. But so I went to Arizona State, and I was like, it's too hot here, and it's too far. So my mom couldn't come watch me. That was too far, man. I mean, you got to go fly to see. I mean, because I wanted my mom to come watch me play my games, right? And so I was like, no, can't go there. And then one day I went to Iowa for the Iowa and Michigan State game. And around that time it's pretty good cold in Iowa City, right? So that was the game I went to in Iowa. They played Michigan State. Now, I'm thinking, being that I'm one of the young superstars out of high school, that they're going to stick me up in the press box where it's nice and warm. Shit. Man, they stuck all the y'all going down with the fans. I'm going, excuse me? Yeah, all I had was a leather jacket on. And they gave me this little thin blanket. I was like, oh, no, I can't have my mom out in this. So I was like, well, I ain't going to Iowa, but I didn't tell them yet, And so, I went to KU, and I was like, no, KU was too close. I went to Nebraska, same thing, too cold. and I went to K-State. Well, K-State wasn't too close and it wasn't too far. And I was like, it ain't too cold. I was like, well, Mom, come here with some friends and buddies of mine and watch me play. They can safely drive her back, you know. So I was like, I'm gonna go to K-State. And that's where I ended up going, you know. But when I told Coach Snyder that I was going to go to K-State, he was pissed because I used to go up there and go floating with them on his kids on the freaking river, on the inner tube and everything. And his son ended up going there playing football. I remember him when he was a little bitty fella. So he came to my mom's house because he wanted to talk to her to try to change my mind, you know. And I had my mind made up, you know. And this is God's honest truth, man. I mean, a few tears fell down that man's face when I told him I didn't want to go to K-State, to Iowa. Because I said, man, you know, Mom, come watch me play. It's too cold there. I can't have her suffering out there. Y'all ain't got no press box for her. You didn't tell me that when I was there at the time, you know. And this is shoot, man. So I ended up going to K-State. Now, the same year, Iowa went to a bowl, and I believe they won that mother. I was pissed. I was like, it. So I'm trying to call them to see if I can get my scholarship back with them. And they say,
who?
And that was the end of that, you know, and I finished my days out at K-State. But while I was at K-State, I always knew in the back of my mind I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I said that earlier. And so I ordered tights, which was red, and some patent leather red boots, which was red, and I had one knee pad, right? That was the gimmick. And I hadn't figured out what I was gonna call myself, but being that I went to K-State, and they were called the Wildcats. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to call myself Curtis the Cat. Cat Hughes. I'm going to do that. And so I hadn't found no trainer yet, though. Hope I ain't getting ahead of myself. You know, if you want to answer more questions before I get that far ahead of myself.
Where'd you get the tights?
I think it was K&H.
Yeah, Carl Hildegard.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Because Bob Geiger gave me the phone number. He goes, here's the number. You want some gear?
So you'd already met Bob Geiger at that time, man.
Well, he already knew who the hell I was because I had called that phone number that they advertised on TV.
Right. Yeah.
And it had the number to the office. Every time you watch a wrestling match, that phone number would pop up, and I saw it one night and I wrote it down. And I don't know around what time it was, but I said, let me call that number, see where I can get me some gear. Hadn't bought no gear yet. I'm glad you reminded me of that. Boy, I'm just So who did I ask? I think it was another guy that I had started training at the time. He was married to my cousin. His name was T.C. Carter. And he had already started training with Geiger. I didn't know it at the time, though. He never told me because it was all kayfabe back then. Even though he was around my family, he didn't say nothing about training to be no wrestler. So I guess Geiger talked to him. Now, I wasn't out of college yet. Okay, I'm still in college. So while I was in college, my last year, I ordered my gear. And my gear came, I tried it on. I booked a photographer to take pictures, promo pics. I mean, I had a plan, you know. And, you know, I was working at a bar at the time in college. I was a bouncer. You know, that's how this happened, trying to take a drink from the drunk. I was bouncing at a bar, so I had to make, so I was like, I need to find some gear. I need to figure out where to get some gear. And so I had asked TC, hey man, where do you get gear from? He goes, hey man, you got to talk to Geiger about that. Now I ain't talked to Geiger yet, but he told me at a family gathering that, you know, he's the one you might need to talk to, whatever. He didn't tell me all the ins and outs yet because it was kayfabe back then. So my stuff comes, I try it on, I look good in it because I was still looking pretty good because I was still playing football, you know.
You look good in those red patent leather boots, huh?
Yeah, I did. I looked. I mean, I looked really well. So anyway, I'm in college and I'm still playing ball now. I think I'm in my junior year, and like I said, I'm working at this bar now. This girl I was dating, she was on the track team, and one day the phone rang in the apartment, and I got up to answer. Well, she's sleeping in the bed, and I'm answering the phone. I'm going, hello? And he goes, who is this? And there's some dude on the other line, you know. And he goes, who is this? We're going back and forth. And so I hang up because I ain't going through this. It was about 3 or 4 in the morning, man. So she comes out and goes, who was that? I go, I don't know who the hell it was. He asked for you. She goes, you didn't wake me up? I was like, really? You want me to wake you up with some dude calling 3 or 4 in the morning? Now, she was on the track team. Apparently, she met this guy on one of her track meets, okay? Now, you know, the devil beat me up pretty good by now. So now, the next day, I go to work. I'm working at this. Matter of fact, I'm off. So I'm having a good time. I'm drinking all these freaking drinks, and I'm 38 hot. So it's hot, damn it, I'm gonna go over there and have a few words with her. And before all that happened, I was pretty much almost done with college, okay? So I had reached out to Guy, and he told me when I come home, reach out to him and we'll talk, whatever. Well, I go over there to see her, and back then that little small chain on the door, you know? And I said, hey, let me in, I want to talk to you. No, you're drunk, leave. So I just pushed the door open. But I was so drunk, we both just sat down. Next thing I know, the police waking me up, right? I'm going, oh, damn, really? And I was upset she called the police, so I tore the place up. Now, I didn't harm nobody. I ain't stupid. But I tore everything I could pick up. I tore it up. Now, these 2 little cops, they were just letting me express myself. So as soon as I get done with that, you know, he was on the mic. Here come these football players. He's big as me, cops, you know. They was big as me, and they go, you're done? So I had went in the bathroom, and I said, it's gonna take all y'all in the whole damn freaking police department to get me up out of here. I'm drunk, man. I didn't give a damn. Plus my heart was broke, you know. So here they come, boy. They snatched you out of there, threw me on the pieces of just wood everywhere, and threw me on the ground, threw the clamps on me, and I couldn't fit in the back seat, see? So they had to put me in the front seat. So I got the clamps on me, and they behind my back. I can barely move. So I'm crying like a girl at this time. So the cop was, you know, I'm leaning over here going, he's pushing me back towards the window going, get off me, man. I'm saying, man, you know, I'm tripping now because I can't believe I just tore the house up and all that. So anyway, I go to jail and, you know, I get out and they give me time to pay restitution on this furniture and stuff in his apartment, right? So I finally get done with college and I go home and I have some words with my mom to determine how I'm gonna survive here. I hadn't had no job yet. And so I talked to her about my career. Now she was pissed because I told her, I was like, I don't want to play no pro football. I don't want to do it. She goes, excuse me? I said, I don't want to play no pro football. I got a better plan. I think I want to be a professional wrestler. Oh, man, she was like all over the place, ready to get the pots and pans and beat me with it. I said, no. Well, calm down. I got this plan. I believe I can be pretty good at it. I believe because I even when I was in college on the field, I'd be practicing moves and practicing my stomping and kicking, and nobody taught me anything. I just go for what I saw on television. And I was explaining to her, I believe my career would be better because I always had turf toe, back of my neck always hurt because it was always clanging with the freaking baby faces, you know, head to head. Freaking lower back was always hurting, knee. I just couldn't do it no more. I told her, I was like, I think I can have a better career as a professional wrestler. And so she thought about it for a minute and she said, okay, now, The time that I came back home, talked to my mom, then I got in contact with Geico, right? Now, at first, he wanted to make sure that I was sincere about being a professional wrestler. You know, you guys knew how it was back then. They kayfabe everybody because they just didn't let you in. They had to make sure it wasn't no fly-by-night thinking you want to be a wrestler. So what he did, he had this kayfabe guy reach out to me, right? And his name was Steve Estes. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Steve Estes, but he was from Kansas City territory. He was like a jizzobber. But he had him reach out to me and said, all right, man, meet me over at my house in St. Joe, Missouri. So I had one of my buddies, hey, man, can you give me a ride to St. Joe? I got to go over here to practice. You know, I'm thinking I'm going to get started on my training as a wrestler, right? So I go to the guy's house. I get a ride. I go to Steve's house, and I'm thinking he's got a gym somewhere. We're going to drive to a gym, right? So instead of going to a gym, we're in this living room, and he's showing me how to lock up and camera locks and all this. I'm going like, so what, is this like the beginning course? You start in the living room and then we go to a gym somewhere? You know, he goes, no, guy wanted me to see where you were at and blase, blase. I said, oh, okay. And he goes, all right. And then the next day we went somewhere else. And the next day we went to some dungeon. It was in a freaking old abandoned high school with no electricity, no nothing in there. It was in the summertime. All they had in there was a generator outside with a light, a couple of lights shooting on it, and set up this, it wasn't a ring, it was some padding on the floor. And I'm going, you gotta be kidding me, right? Thank God I hung in there, man. Thank God I hung in there because Geico had him do that to see if I was gonna quit or stick with it. And he knew the hell I was when I called him. He goes, I said, hey, how you doing, Geico? My name's, because I had called him once all that was done. I said, hey, Geico, my name's Curtis Hughes, blase, blase. I'm interested in being a professional wrestler. And he goes, oh, I know who you are. He goes, I know who you are. Curtis Hughes, I know who you are. You almost went to Iowa. You was All-American, blah, 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 blah. He was just giving me the whole 9 yards. And I said, damn, he did follow me. He knew the hell I was. He goes, this is what I need you to do. I need you to come up to Memorial Hall on such and such a day, bring you something to train in, and we're going to get started. But wait, I ain't had a chance to talk to him about no money yet. Huh. Right? So I'm going, wait, whoa, I ain't talking to you about no bridge yet. I ain't got no, you know. And so we get up to Memorial Hall. And the people that he told to get there, to meet there, they were there. Adam Baum was there. He trained with me. We both trained together. Big Steve Ray, white guy, called himself the Wild Thing Steve Ray. He trained with us. And then a few other people. And we started in the same building that I used to watch on television in Kansas City. So I'm freaking out at this point. So he's got to run the balcony, because they had a ramp balcony, you know. Now here's the kick of this, man, because I used to be like, what does that dressing room look like? Everybody been in there, Andre. Everybody's been in this freaking dressing room. And so I walked down that ramp, took a left, because I was on the babyface side. And I walked in this freaking dressing room. I was like, wow, thousands of the freaking superstars been in here. In this building, right here in this dressing room. I was freaking out, man. Then I went over the other side because the only thing that divides it is the stage, and they can just close the curtain so they can kayfabe everybody so the boys can communicate. But I went to the other side, to the babyface side, was already on the heel side. Either way, I went to the other side, and I was like, damn, this is the other dressing room. And I'm freaking out in there. I ain't lying. And then I started training. The same ring that these cats bled in, I trained in that ring. All it had was wood and this much carpet. They didn't have all this thick old patent like they got in these Cadillac rings. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This was a pay your due ring. And these old timers used to bump in that sucker like you wouldn't believe. I remember seeing Harley and many guys, Stomper. I mean, I can go on and on and on that was in that same ring that I got in, right? So I started my training. Now, remember I told you that I got in trouble for tearing up that furniture, and I went to court and they gave me restitution. And every time I went to court, they kept doing this, right? The third time, they was like, no more, 130 days.
Wow.
I was like, excuse me? Excuse me, 190. I'm sorry, they gave me 3 months, right? That's 190 days. Bam. So they sent me to Topeka first, which is the valuation place where all the criminals go. I don't care if you stole a piece of cake, that's where you go. And so here I am now in this damn system because I didn't pay restitution. So here I am sitting in this jail cell, wondering what is going to come of my career. So I asked one of the people that worked there, I said, can I get a piece of paper and a pen or a pencil or something? And I was going to write Geigel a letter, right? So I sat down and I wrote it. It was from here, man. I ain't lying. I was crying when I remember I was weeping when I wrote it. And I'm writing him, I'm saying, hey, man, this is Curtis Hughes. We started training, blase, blase. And when I was in college, I did a foolish thing and tore up the furniture, blase, blase. I didn't pay the restitution. And they gave me 190 days. I pretty much was honest about it, told him what was happening, what happened. And I said, would it be okay after I finish this 190 days, if I can come back and continue my wrestling training? You know, he wrote me back. And it was the most humbling letter I ever read at the time, because I was like worried in my soul that my career as a wrestler wasn't going to happen. Because this guy was the only guy I felt, because he was the promoter, he was the booker, he was the Kansas City promoter. He was one that hired the boys, fired the boys. He was it. Bob Geigel. And he wrote me back and he said, don't you worry about nothing. You just complete it. And once you get it completed, look me up. Come by and see me, call me. Once I read that letter, man, I was like, phew, thank you, Lord, thank you. And then but you know, from a young person, you know, I've been saved. My mom, man, she could get us up, go to church when we were little, catch the church bus to go to the Baptist church. I think it was Bethany Baptist Church, something like that. And we all would get on the bus, and the bus would take us to church and bring us back. I got saved early, so I knew who to call. At the time I didn't, but I knew who to call later on down the road, you know. And so while I was in this jail cell, I prayed that the Lord would help me and that he would let me do this wrestling career I'm trying to do. Now, at the time, I didn't know, you know, what I know now as far as praying wise, but once I got started and as I was going through my time, the good Lord set me in place to where I could stay in shape. He got me a job. I got a job at a gym. And it was so simple. I got a job at working at a gym, and that was just to clean and vacuum, whatever. But I could work out for free and stay in shape. And and I could take advantage of the gym. I'd get up, 3 in the morning. I worked in the kitchen. So I had good meals because I cooked them. And I would eat and I would stay healthy. I mean, all the way around, everything worked out. All the way around, everything worked out for the good, because I had a good gig. I got up every morning. I cooked. I ate good. I went to the gym. I worked out. And then on the way back, I found me a girlfriend that kept me occupied. while my time was there. So when I got done, and brother, let me tell you, when I got done, and I called Geiger once I got done, he goes, meet us up at Memorial Hall, such a date. And it was like I never left. I mean, this guy trained me so fast because I was hungry then. Because I was like, man, I didn't waste a freaking, few months. I got to catch up, because I didn't want nobody to pass me by. Which those same guys I started out with, shit, I ended up passing them by, because I was hungry as a lion. And what happened, I'm still asking Guy, once we got started again, I'm asking Guy, when I'm going to have to pay, how much am I have to pay you? He goes, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ended up happening was he was trying to get me and some other young guys ready for the circuit, so he can keep the ship moving, see, because he would do shows, Kansas City, St. Joe. I mean, he tried to do the same old territories. St. Louis, he tried to do those same territories that they used to have back in the day, but he needed more talent. So he was training me and Steve Ray and those other cats, Brian Clark and a few others, how to work so he can keep the ship moving. And that's what he did with us, And so with that, I was so grateful that he didn't charge me anything, man. I mean, because I did like I did in college. I'd watch people before me, he'd explain how to do something and I'd watch everybody else. Let's see how they do that. Okay. See how they do that backdrop. Let's see how they do that punch. And I'd watch it. And then when my turn comes, guy goes, say, you sure you ain't never wrestled no more before? I was like, no, I ain't never wrestled. I just been trained. I know I've been taught, trained, like on sports. I could, if you show me something, I can get it. Those people are like I'm one of those, and I learned that from going to football camp and stuff like that, how they drill that stuff in you. So when it comes to the wrestling thing, I mean, I let everybody else mess up first before I started going. And so when I jumped in there and did it, everybody's like, this dude wrestled before. I'd be like, no. And so that's how I got my start in Kansas City territory.
Did Harley or Rufus or any of those stars ever drop by and give you any word of encouragement?
Oh yeah, all the time. I remember when I first had my very first match, it was against Bulldog Bob Brown.
Bulldog Bob, wow.
Yeah, Bulldog. And I remember I made a mistake. He told, I think I tatered him or something, and act like I didn't give a damn. So he threw me out on the floor. And as I was getting up, he gave me a big boot. He had grabbed one of them folding chairs and let me have it right across the back.
Receipt time.
He goes, wham, listen, kid. And then he threw me back in. And I was like, all ears. All ears, baby. So, I had to learn from those type of people.
Right, yeah.
These old school guys.
And Bob Brown was old school guy, man. What a performer.
He was one of my heroes. And it's just so many. It's just so many that inspired me. But Harley, he was the number one because he was a real heavyweight champion. What I mean by a real heavyweight champion, a lot of these young people don't understand, is at the time, Harley went around this planet wrestling people from all over the freaking country, all over the freaking world. He wrestled people, not just in the States. He wrestled people everywhere. So I tell people, who you think's the champ? It ain't Flair. It's, in my opinion, it's handsome Harley Race because he wrestled all these people back when they had territories.
Yeah. Did you ever see Harley when he was mean, when he got and had to take care of himself in the ring with a fan or anything?
Well, say that one more time.
Did you ever see Harley get mad and destroy a fan? Because I know in Kansas City he had quite a reputation of dealing fans that got a little aggressive with him.
Well, he was good about cussing them out. He was good about cussing them out. You know, and one thing I learned about him riding up and down the highways and byways is not to put up with any bull crap from anybody, you know. Because at the time I was young in the business, so he was trying to raise me up in the business as far as respect to elders, things like that.
He was giving you road advice.
Exactly. Don't speak if you ain't spoken to, because I was new. You know, I wasn't gonna go in there as no superstar. Oh no. Rufus told me that, you know, and I was black as a boot. So there were certain things you could do and not do back then, and I was aware of, you know, because I wanted to fit in. I wanted to learn the business. I wanted to be a good performer. I mean, the whole 9 yards, man. I mean, I wanted to get out and travel, make some money. I wanted to do all that. And the best way to do it was
Kansas City territory at the time. Was it still drawing? Was it still doing okay?
Well, they were okay until when Vince started, you know, I guess Senior was still here. I don't know how it all played out, but territory started dwindling away. You know,
was you aware what was going on in the business, Curtis, at that time?
Well, a little bit, because the boys used to talk about it in the dressing room. You know, the older guys, they would, you know, man, you know, this territory closed down, man, this territory closed down, and then they raising hell about, you know, why it's closing down and why people are not, you know, staying with the territory. Instead, they're watching the big TV screen. They want to, you know, they assume they want to see that. Well, it kind of, when I was coming in, I think it was Crockett's. Was it the Crockett's? I think the Crockett's had bought NWA, something like that. And then they were going around to all the smaller territories and buying them out. They would come in, kill the boys, the local territory boys, kill them off, and then put their boys in place. That's what they did in Kansas City. They came in and put their own people in place, and the local guys, they just jobbed them and try to get them out the way. And that's what pretty much put the nail in the coffin in Kansas City territory. See, because Geigle, because Harley had came in with Geigle and Pat O'Connor, all those guys went in with the money together, trying to keep the territory together. But wasn't no money there no more, because was it not USA, but when Vince started doing the thing on Saturday night,
TBS.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Saturday Night Main Event. You remember the Saturday Night Main Event shows used to come on?
Yeah, on NBC. Yeah,
NBC.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, he started doing those, and then people just started breaking off and stopped coming like it was before, because they had a local following in Kansas City territory. But then when that happened, and then they brought their own people in, they jobbed all the people off in the territory, and that Geigle was pretty much said, "We're done," you know. And that's when he sent me to Vern. He called Vern and said, "Hey, you know, you want to look at this kid? He's got some talent." And so the guy gonna say, "Hey, you got a TV taping that up there at AWA up in Minnesota, going up there and look up."
So that was your first territory after you'd been broken in and working what, a year, or had you been there a year?
I was about a year and a half. Yep. You know, I was locked up for 190 days, and then when I got out, I finished my training, and once I finished that, then I was good enough, went on the road, you know, did shows on the house shows and stuff like that in the territory. We did little spot shows around the territory, so we can hurry up and learn, so we can make money at the gate with us, you know.
Yeah. And was Hogan still in Minneapolis when you went up for Vern? Or did he left?
No, he was already left. He already went to WWF at that time. Because I believe was Dog there? Because Dog had left and went to WWF, I think. Yeah, a lot of guys left. Yeah. They left AWA and went to WWF at the time. And when I got there, Sarge was there still. I'm talking about AWA. Right. Sarge was there. Yoko was there. Rodney, or Big Rodney. Eric Bischoff. I mean, just a whole bunch of people that were there. And then after Kansas City and AWA territory, that's when Jody Hamilton called me. Big Jody, Lord rest his soul, he had called. I guess he saw me on ESPN.
From St. Joe, Missouri.
Yeah, he called and said, we saw you. Because me and Luger had the same finish, at the torture rack. And they wanted somebody there. I think Dusty was, no, it was Oli at the time. That was the booker at the time. And they were looking for somebody, Heelish, that can work Luger. And we had the same torture rack finish. So they called me. And the funny thing about it was when they called, TC Carter, I was telling you about, back then we didn't have no cell phone. So he'd come over with a message because he had to drive away from Overland Park or somewhere where he lived to bring me the message to put on the door, my girlfriend's door. And so I came home one day and I had this note on the door. Now I thought it was a rib. I was like, what the hell is this? And I'm reading it, I say, call TBS or something like that, wrestling or something like that. I was like, I thought it was a rib. So I went to my mom's house to use her phone, and because it was on the weekend, so I had to wait till that Monday. So I called the WCNN building that Monday and told the receptionist who I was, and I think it was Jody got on the phone and said we've been checking you out, blase, and we've been looking for somebody to work an angle with Luger because you guys got the same torture rack. Now he's asking me how much you think you want to come and have an angle with Luger. Now I didn't want to undersell myself, right? So I'm saying, wait for him to throw out a number, So I'm going, So he throws out this number, and I said, okay. It was the very first number. It was like 300 or something, a night or something like that. And I was like, okay, all right, And he goes, all right, we're going to, put this together, blase, and, ticket to be in the mail, whatever. And that's how I got my start in Atlanta, by those guys sending me on the ESPN show. And once they got me down here, they kept me busy. I mean, they had me, doing a lot of good things when I first got to WCW. And one of them wasn't, just being a straight jizzobber. It's just I had to learn, what my role was and how they were going to use me. Once I figured that out and they saw what I could do, because I remember having matches and I'd be like the second, third match. I'd go out there and I'd do something in that ring. And one of the things I did do was the move nut shot on the rope and then jump off and sell the nut shot. That was one of my main things. And I did it to where it looked so believable to people would pop. And one night I did that. Now, before I go to the ring, being I'm a new guy, I'm asking all the older guys in the back, if you don't mind, I appreciate it if you can watch the match for me. If you don't mind.
All right.
Tell me what I need to do out there, to get better, whatever, So I asked a couple of people. And I asked Flair, I asked Arn, a couple people. And they said, sure. And when I got to the ring, I'm looking towards the area where I came out because that's where all the boys was, looking at matches. So I'm looking over there. Now I can see everybody watching my match. I can see them watch. I look over, yep, they're watching. And so I do my thing, man, and do the nut shot move thing. And the place just roars, right? And the very next, I go to the back after the match, and I asked Flair, what do you think? Did you watch? Oh, I didn't see it, brother. Sorry. Didn't see it. I'm going like, wow, man, I just saw you watching my match, brother. But it's all good. It's all good. So the very next show we did, they had moved me down the card. You know, because I had popped that night and they kept popping them, stuff I was doing. Because big as I was, they didn't, you know, it was just unbelievable that they saw.
What was your size when you were there, Curtis?
Say that again?
What was your size? How big were you?
I was about 385.
385?
Yeah, I was big.
285.
No, I was 385.
380. Wow.
I was, hell, in college, I was 380.
Wow.
You know, and, you know, I thought I was big in college. Shit, those guys in college, man, huge. Especially those freaking linemen, man. They 6'9", 380. And they trying to move you out of the way. Thank God I had some good training. Because all I did was just fail and clog the hole up, you know, instead of fighting with them. I see guys that play nose guard and it's a running play and they'll sit there and fight with the guy and he'll drag him back 5 or 10 yards. And hell, the guy already needed 5. So they got the yards, you know. Yeah. What was that?
So you're saying that they moved you down the card?
Yeah, they moved me down the card. I was like the second, third match. There might have been 6 matches maybe. And they moved me down the card, man, because I was doing whatever I was supposed to do to pop the people. You know, because this is a shoot, man. I mean, I ain't lying, man. I was like up the card and did this move I told you about, nutshot move. I don't think they ever seen it before. The way I did it, I don't know, but they responded. And you know, the next match, the next gig, I was like, we're moving. They was like, I was looking at the card on the damn wall, and I was like, damn, they moved me down.
So right. This is your first taste of in-ring politics in WCW, right?
Yep, sure was. And I saw a lot. But, you know, I mean, thank God I had opportunity there. Ole, you know, he looked out for me. Magnum TA, you know, good guys, man. You know, they you know, Dusty, he helped me with the gimmick, with bodyguard gimmick, you know, because I did the big cat gimmick.
How did that bodyguard gimmick come about? You say Dusty helped you. Did you go to Dusty and say, I want to do this, or did they come to you?
What happened was Dusty saw me as, because he used to call me LT all the time. You're like Lawrence Taylor. Because I look like Lawrence Taylor a little bit, and they call me LT all the time. And one day he called me in the office and said, hey, LT, I think I got a better gimmick for you. Might help your career a little bit. I was all ears, you know. He goes, you know the big Bubba Rogers gimmick, right? I was like, yeah. He goes, you think you can play that gimmick, bodyguard gimmick? But put your own little twist to it. You don't have to be the same guy. That's all he had needed to tell me. So I went and looked at Bubba, saw how he went to the ring, saw what he took off, saw how he worked. And I was like, okay, I can't be the same guy. I can't get people mixed up. Even though you got a Caucasian guy and a black guy, it still wears a suit. So I got to be different. What's different about me and what's going to be different about Bubba was he took his hat off, took his shades off. Sometimes he took his tie off, depending on who he's beating up, and took his jacket off. Now, I'm looking at him, I'm going, okay, I got to figure out a way to keep them shades on. And I tried the sports strap. I take a big backdrop, they'd fly off. Harley keep an extra pair in his pocket, he'd hand them to me. And then he'd pick up the other ones, put them in his pocket, because they didn't work. So I always wore black tape, right? But black electrical tape, that's what the heels wear. And I noticed it stretched, right? And I was like, you know what? Let me try some of this electrical tape and put it on. So that's what I did. So I tucked 2 strips and I put it around here, and then I took the shades off. Then I put a strip on the inside so I wouldn't pull all my hair out. And then I'd put two on the end and tape the ends. and then they'd stay on that way. And that's how I wore my shades. Well, once I figured out how to leave those shades on, that was the gimmick. Dusty loved it. And that's when he said, okay, we're going to put you, because at first, they had us, me and Luger, going at it, torture rack matches, right? They knew we worked good together, but then they said, wait a minute, he's a heel now, and Luger's a baby now, so we'll just have them work each other. Him the bodyguard, him the champ. Well, that went down the mud. They thought about it, but it didn't happen. But I didn't care. As long as I had a gig, as long as you got a gig and you're paying your bills and traveling this world and seeing this country and seeing this planet, that's all that mattered to me. But when I got those shades to stay on, that got the gimmick over and people couldn't figure out. Now, at the time, I weighed about 380. So I had a lot of fat back there. And so you couldn't see the tape because it was in the groove, see? So people thought, how in the hell they keep those shades on? Maybe they're too tight. That's probably why. No, I had electrical tape on. And that's what's got the gimmick over, is the tape. Once I started doing that, then, everything else was gravy. Now, towards the end of my career at WCW, they wanted me to go back to Big Cat, which didn't make no damn sense. And the way they were going to do that, they was going to have Dog give me a headbutt in the face. And I had rigged my shades to explode off my face, and I'd sell my eyeball. And that's how they was going to make me back babyface. And me and Dog was going to tag up and be tag team partners. I'm going like, now, who in the world put this together? Because Dusty came in and got the book because Ole was on his way out, okay? And so Dust got the book. He the one gave me the gimmick, and I worked it. I worked that gimmick, put the shades together and the whole 9 yards, and I had to utilize my athleticism with this gimmick. I had to do the drop kicks. I had to take the big back drops depending on who I worked. If I worked a big time superstar, oh yeah, he was gonna get some bumping. But if it was just a regular match, no, it was just gonna get some beat down in a couple spots and then we go home, But when it came to them big name guys like The Undertaker and Bret Hart and people like that, and JBL and Ron, those are some different kind of flavor of people that you got to work with, you feel me? And so, I had opportunity to work all these people, and it was great. I had a good time at it too. In Atlanta territory, I like to drive. So I didn't like to fly. I wanted to see the country. So I would drive everywhere. I bought this blue Cadillac Brougham from Pee Wee Anderson, Lord rest his soul. He was a referee. And when I started coming here, they were flying me back and forth. TBS was. And then when they gave me a contract, then they said, all right, you make enough money. You want to go home, pay for it yourself. So that's when I started staying at the hotel, the Dungeon out there by the airport. It was called Howard Johnson's then. Now it's back to Howard Johnson because they went to Ramada Inn and then now it's back to Howard Johnson. But that's where we used to play. Everybody in WCW used to go there, a place called the Dungeon. It was a hotel, and it's a bar inside that hotel, and all the boys and the girls used to go there to the watering hole, and they had a live band. It was great. All the fans would come there, and it was a nice place to hang out. And anybody that was anybody back in them days will tell you about the Dungeon, man. The Dungeon was a spot. I can remember being in the Dungeon. I remember Triple H came in there one day, and he was still getting this little rise, in the company of WCW. And we're in there talking one day, and I said, man, you're a pretty damn good worker, man. We're just talking in general, but I knew that dude was going to go way up here because the way he worked in that ring, man, he was old school to the core. And that's what the old timers like, man, is that old school wrestling. and that's what I got. That's what I got taught, and that's what I teach. You know.
So what caused the shift between WCW then to get the call up from WWE?
Well, when I was over in Puerto Rico, I used to go over there in Puerto Rico all the time and wrestle Carlos and bleed and wrestle Abdullah the Butcher and bleed and the guy that supposedly killed Brody. I'd wrestle him, the Vader number 1 or 2, one of them. I'd wrestle all those cats in main events. Carlos would bring me over, Javik would bring me over there, and you know, on the weekend, it'd be like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of deal, and I would be in the main event with Carlos, in the cage match, a handcuffs match, anything to do with blood, I'd be in it. And I wouldn't say hate it because I was working, but I had 2 white shirts that I would bring to Puerto Rico. And I can guarantee you both of them had juice on them by the time I got done. I had to soak them every night and then take them to the wash machine and wash all the juice out of it. Every night it was that. Every night. I did not like doing that, but they paid me to do it, and I did it. You know what I'm saying? And so one day, I come back to my room. Now, I told you been knowing Sarge for years, and he had been in WWF in and out of there since I left AWA. He'd been in and out of there for years. And so I come in the room and I see my phone, the message lights flashing. I'm like, what's this? Mm-hmm. So I pick up the phone and I hit the 0 and I say, excuse me, what's this red light flashing on my phone? I'm green as hell. What's this red light flashing? She goes, that's the message phone. You need to dial such and such. Okay, thank you. Boom. So I hit the button, I dial such and such, and I hear Sarge's voice. He go, hey, this Sarge, give me a call, blase, blase. So I called him right back. And I say, hey, what's up, Sarge? What can I do for you? What's cracking? He goes, hey, Vince, that little list he got. Vince interested in looking at you. He wants to check you out. He wants to, see if you're available in Augusta on such and such a date. He goes, when are you going to be back to the States? I was like, well, today's the last night. I'm leaving in the morning. He goes, okay, call me when you get in. So once I got back to Atlanta, then I called him and he goes, hey, just want to look at you in Augusta on such a day. Can you be there? I said, oh yeah, I can be there. He goes, bring your shit, bring your gear. I was like, okay. So I was just the whole time, my butthole puckering, I'm nervous. I'm going, oh boy, here's my shot. Here's my opportunity. Finally, that day comes and I drive to Augusta. Pull in the parking lot there, get my bag and go inside. I greet JJ Dillon in there. Hey, JJ, how you doing? Hey, Curtis, how you doing? And then he goes, Vince is in the office. He wants to see you. So I put my bag down, go in there and meet Vince. And, here's your opportunity to show him what you can do. So he goes, go get dressed. So I went to go get dressed. And now in the dressing room, all these superstars in the dressing room, right? So I can get dressed and I put my gear on. I'm in my Mr. Hughes gimmick. And so the runner comes in and says, Curtis, you're on deck. They're looking for you. So I go to the gorilla position. And the gorilla says, all right, you're up. So I go through the curtain and I'm used to crowds. I play college ball, so I'm used to crowds. I was in WCW, so I'm used to crowds. And so now, as I'm walking to this ring, on my mind is getting over. That's the only thing that's on my mind is getting over. Here's my tryout. So I go out there and I got the frown working. People trying to give me the high five. I'm kayfabing them. I'm pissing people off. So I get in the ring and I start doing my thing. I, give the guy a clothesline. I drop kick them. I'm just doing the big man stuff, power slam, all that. And then, do the finish. And then I get out and I go back to the gorilla position. walk through the curtain, and I said, "Is that what y'all looking for?" They go, "Yep, you got 2 more." And so they said, "We'll call you. They'll come get you." And I said, "Okay." So in the meantime, I'm sitting in the dressing room, waiting. So they said, "All right, Curtis, you're up." So they said, "Get to the gorilla position." I get to the gorilla position, do my match, get done, go back to the gorilla position, and they say, "Go get dressed. Vince want to talk to you in office." I go get dressed, put my street clothes back on, everything, all my gear's in my bag now. I'm thinking I'm done, right? So I go in and see Vince. JJ was in there. Bruce Pritchard was in there. And so they're saying, "Yeah, they're talking about, so they're talking how much money we're going to talk about here, Someone, damn, that sounds pretty damn good. Yeah, I'll take that, that type of thing." And so they said, "All right, go back, put your stuff back on. We got to get you caught up to speed." So I go back in the dress. I said, "Huh? Go put your gear back on. We got to get some matches in you so we can get you caught up to speed." So I go back in the dressing room. Now, before I start putting my stuff on, I'm asking all these supers, "Hey, what I need to do out there to get a job? I mean, what I need to do out there for them to like me? What I need to do to get a gig here?" You know what they told me? Go out there and bump for the jobber, sell for the jobber, get the jobber over, right? And I'm going like, "You all look like a dumb Negro to y'all." That's what I said in my mind, in a nice way, in my mind. That's what I said. So I was like, whatever. So I put my stuff on and went back out there, and we did 2 more tapings. And then I went back from there, and I was like, Is that good?" They go, "Yeah, we're good. That's all we need. Go get dressed, and JJ want to talk to you." I went back in the dressing room, and I asked the guys. I was like, "So they told me to come in here and get dressed and go talk to Vince. So does that mean I have a job now?" They go, "Well, no, we knew." They're changing the script now. "No, brother, we knew you'd get the gig. We knew you'd get the gig. But
So who was this talking to you?
I ain't gonna kayfabe. I'm gonna kayfabe.
Oh, come on.
Oh, come on, Curtis.
Come on.
Nobody will know. Nobody will know.
Nobody will know.
Okay, I'll tell you. One of them was Nord. You remember Jay Nord? You remember Nord?
John the Barbarian, yeah.
Yeah. He was one of them. And who was the other one? Damn it, who was the other one? It'll come to me in a minute, because it was a short. Who the hell was the other guy? It'll come to me in a minute. But yeah, those guys are telling me like, "Yeah, go out there and job, sell for the guy, bump for him, get him over." And I'm looking at them, yeah, like, okay, whatever. But yeah, he was one of them. John Nord was one of them. And I just can't think of the hell the other one was. I can't think of it. It slipped my mind. Too much weed. Yeah. So
then you get the job, and were all those? Did they already think you already thought you had the job, right? Because those were tapings for television, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I already had the gig because they already told me that on my first one. Because after the first one, they said, "Yeah, you're good. We're gonna send you. You're gonna send the contract. We're gonna FedEx it to you." And I already knew, but I was seeing what they were going to say. See, when they saw me putting my stuff on, they was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "They did my first TV taping, man. They're getting me caught up to speed, basically." And so that
when
kind
do
of
you start getting your first angles and stuff, and how do you end up working with the Undertaker?
Well, what happened was at first they was trying to figure out where to put me, how to use me. And at first they was trying to figure out who to manage. Or anyone of the Harvey Whipple, they was trying to figure out where to put me. So I'm thinking it's going to be Slick. But all of a sudden, at the last minute, they stuck me with Harvey, because I thought it was going to be Fuji too, you know. So they was trying to figure out where to fit me in at. But once they stuck me with Harvey, because me and him worked good together, man. Because I'd say, hey, man, I'm going to talk about black-eyed peas, neck bones, whatever. You know, you can elaborate, because he was from the hood too. So he can understand what I'm talking about, you know. So after I say what I had to say, boy, he can come right on in with this little piece, and that'd be like one takers right there. You know, we'd work good together, man. And I used to love doing the promos on the road in them little sweat boxes, but they had a little air blowing through them. You know, they put them on the house shows. You know, I mean, those, you know, the ones they do at the TV table where they have the square boxes where you get in, they got air shooting in them, so you can cut promos for everybody, for all these states we're going to hit, all these towns we're going to hit. That's where I got my best stuff at, you know, inside one of them boxes, you know, because it wasn't no pressure, you know, nobody standing there in front of you going, hey, get it right. Only person was the guy doing this, you know, counting down to 0 so you can shut up, you know. But you know, WWF, I'd been there 3 different times. Each time I was there, they had me work different superstars, which I'm grateful to. I got to work Bret Hart. I got to work a lot of superstars that I really, truly enjoyed. But that question you asked, what was that question you asked, JBL?
I was asking, how'd you get to the Undertaker? I mean, how did that come about?
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you, yeah. Reason how I got to the Undertaker, well, Vince, I guess, was looking for somebody to draw money with the Undertaker. I mean, he tried a few other people. He tried El Gigante, which was the last one. You know, the big guy with the furry outfit.
Yeah, the Giant, yeah.
Yeah, what was his name?
The Giant.
Yeah, the Giant.
Gonzalez.
Yeah, Gonzalez. Yeah, Gonzalez. Well, anyway, he was the last one that Vince had put the Undertaker with, and apparently it wasn't working because he couldn't work, you know. And they were looking for a better heel to put him with, and I noticed something was up with me because this. The agents would come to me and say, all right, you're going over tonight. Huh? Like on a house show, like if I'm working Brett or something, one of these stars, I'm going like, yeah, you're going over tonight. Go talk to Brett about it. What? You know, and so I got to go in the dressing room and have a sit down and figure out which way Brett want to do this favor for me. You know what I'm saying? And everybody had to do that. I mean, if you was a name, you had to get your hand raised for me on the house shows because, I mean, you know, Macho Man, Doug, and all of them had to get my hand raised on these house shows. Now, with that said, the reason why Vince was doing that, I guess so he can build me up a little bit, you know, to the fans, I guess, because Undertaker was the big dog on the porch. And I was working towards him. Now, I didn't know that I was doing that at the time. I didn't know that was the plan that Vince had, but it was a damn good plan. And so I'm starting to work with all these stars on the road, and they're getting my hand raised. 1, 2, 3. I'm going, ooh, that's weird. And then fast forward, next thing you know, I'm working, you know, the top, at the time, the top dogs. I'm talking about Bret, Macho Man. Didn't work Hogan, but all these other names, and they were all getting my hand raised. So when the time came, one day we was at TV taping, and we was going to be in a 6-man tag. It was me, IRS, and $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase against the Nasty Boys and Kamala, right? Now, we're all together because the runners say, hey, man, they want y'all in the dressing room. So we all go in the dressing room, and Vince say, put a finish together and let them know before you go to the ring. And so all these, I'm just listening. So amongst these guys, these 5 gentlemen, I'm the one just listening because I'm the newcomer. So I'm letting them put the match together, see? And so they say, all right, told the IRS told the runner, "Hey, tell Vince we got the finish," you know. And the guy he told IRS told the guy what the finish was. Then Vince came back in and he came in the dressing room and said, no, because they was gonna put it on me, see. As Vince comes in and goes, no, I got plans for him. Put it on Kamala. Now that match is on YouTube. That same exact match is on YouTube, where they were going to do the finish on me, but Vince had plans for me to work The Undertaker. So he couldn't have me get beat on that TV tape, which I understood. So we go out there and sure enough, Kamala does the job. And the next thing I know, we're at another TV taping, and Vince calls me in the office and says, "You're going to go out there and you're going to take that urn and you're going to beat the hell out of The Undertaker, and you're going to leave him and Paul Bearer laying in the ring, and you're going to walk off and praise with the urn." I'm going like, "Excuse me?" Now, I'm sitting around looking to make sure no Love American style balloons go off, and I'm thinking this is the biggest rib of the century, you feel me? But no balloons went off. And when that time came and they told me to stand at that gorilla position with that, get ready, because he's going to be in that far corner there and they're not going to see you. Elegante is going to be, you know, they're going to be going at it. You're going to get Paul Bearer first. They told me the whole thing, what I was going to do. Get Paul Bearer, sidewalk slam him, get the arm, parade it around real slow, methodically, and then go to The Undertaker and beat the brains out of him. Now, when I was beating him with that urn, he was telling me to hit him harder because he wanted to get color the hard way. And I'm thinking, professionally, dead men don't bleed. I can't do that. So that's why all those dents are in it, because I'm laying it in. I'm going, this ain't going to happen because dead men don't bleed. I'm thinking psychology, you know. But that was the night that before I got to The Undertaker, I was going around the country, you know, wrestling all these superstars, and they was getting my hand raised. And then when the time came and Vince figured the time was right, all right, you're going to go out there and take the urn and leave them all laying in the ring. Now, after that night, I had some heat. I had some heat with the people because they'd never seen that done before. And he usually raises up, you know, get up and tombstone you. But that didn't happen, so that kind of put me on the map a little better, you know, which Vince doing that for me, you know. He could have did it for anybody else, but I guess he saw, you know, this character could go with this character type of thing, you know.
Yeah, and you know, it's Taker's been one of those guys that he's made so many careers. You know, he was the guy, you know, as Jerry knows very well, he was the barometer also back in the day. You know, they'd stick a guy out there with Undertaker, and literally they give you 2 segments, and if the match wasn't any good, you might never see that person again because you know it wasn't the Undertaker. Because the Undertaker always did his job, but he was the barometer, right, Mr. Brisco?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. He stamped you or moved you.
That's right. That was it. That was the test. You were either gonna get the thumbs up or you're gonna be gone really quick.
Now, I can tell you this much, man, you know, I really, really, truly, you know, if I could see Vince today, I tell him, hey, man, I really, truly appreciated you letting me have that opportunity because Undertaker is a freaking icon, man. I mean, how many guys love that opportunity to do that, man? You know,
you're right, man. I mean, even when I was doing that Stooge gimmick as an old man, my dream was to get choke slammed by the Undertaker, and I did, it, man. I was so proud of myself, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, every night we did the casket matches after I stole the urn, and we traveled around the country doing casket matches. And the first night we did that casket match, it was good, great match. But somebody played a rib on him. Somebody had the prop guy lock the damn box. So as soon as the lid closed, click, I couldn't push that mother open. So as they pushing me back towards the back, you know, people clapping on the box, I'm sitting there, I'm freaking hyperventilating because I couldn't breathe. I'm going, oh no, they got me locked in. Oh Lord, they're gonna put me in the ground. I'm tripping, you know. And so finally, when they get me to the back, I'm sitting there pushing on it, and finally it came loose. And when I opened it up, wasn't a soul around. And I know who was behind that rib. And when I see him, I'm gonna get him for it. That's old Harvey. He was good at ribbing. And he got me good.
Hey, you weren't the only one that got ribbed in a casket, by the way.
Oh.
I got stuck in there many times,
Yeah.
left in there many times, and I got stuck in there with Orlando Jordan many times.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Two big guys in a casket. They thought that was the funniest thing ever. And they would take forever to wheel us to the back. They thought it was so funny.
I bet that was.
I don't blame them. I thought it was funny too, except it wasn't funny when I was the one in there. But, and Orlando didn't think it's funny either, but we understood the humor.
That was not one of my wishes that I get in a casket.
Oh my goodness!
I'm glad I never expressed that, because if you express, I don't want to be in that cactus. The next show you're going to be in that damn casket, man.
That's right. But what sucks about it is that when you wrestle the Undertaker, eventually you're going to be in some live event, some house show, in a casket match. And the dead man doesn't go in his own casket.
Right. So yeah, all those guys that I mentioned to you, that's how I ended up, working my way towards the Undertaker. I mean, Owen Hart, Lord rest his soul, man. He was a good dude, man. Left too early. I mean, I used to ride with him and Brett all the time. It was pretty cool, man. And but having to experience that, man, from watching these cats come up in the WWF superstars, and then you get opportunity to wrestle them. That when I got an opportunity to wrestle Brett, man, that was a dream come true. When I had an opportunity to wrestle freaking Undertaker, that was a dream come true. When I had an opportunity to freaking wrestle Macho Man, I could keep going on and on and on about different guys that I got to meet and got to hang out with, got to freaking ride with. Me and freaking Ray Traylor, we used to ride together and stop. He paid for the freaking movie. You know what I mean?
And your wildest dreams, Curtis, when you're back in Kansas City High School or even at K-State, did you in your wildest dreams? You wanted to be a wrestler, but did you ever think you'd be stuck in a casket by the Undertaker? Wow.
No, I never thought in a million years that I'd be in a 20,000 seat arena, sold out to the gills, in the main event, having a casket match with the Undertaker. I mean, just think, I was in the ring, okay, in this main event match with the Undertaker. I go first, right? So I'm getting booed at, getting stuff thrown at me, but it's a long way to that ring. So
and you're loving every minute of it.
You better believe it. So I get to the ring. I get in the ring after I go around and parade like I'm a prick. And then that bell goes off and the lights go out.
Yeah. And
then here comes that freaking organ. And the freaking place goes nuts. The lights go down and you can feel, I ain't lying. I don't know if they did it on purpose, but I'd feel this wind, cold gust of wind go across my face.
Yeah. And the goosebumps get huge on you.
Man, yes.
Hey, that was the old school Undertaker. That was the purple haze.
Yeah.
That was the lighters. Not the cell phone. Way before the cell phones.
Exactly.
Before it was a cell phone.
Exactly. So that was like, we'll get to that in a minute, but 30-something years of being in this sport and being in all the major companies and being in WWF 3 different times and having something there that they thought they could use. But each time I just wish it would have been a little longer. My stints there, I wish they were a little longer, but I had the opportunity. I did have the opportunity, and I appreciate every minute of it. And now I get a chance to watch my former trainees in all the major companies of television, and I'm proud of that too. We're gonna get to that.
Tell us a little bit about that. What are you doing now, and who are some of the guys that you've trained and got up to the big leagues?
Well, you know, I've been training training people around 18, almost 20 years.
Wow.
And a little place in the back of a strip club. It was called WWA 4. I don't know if you can see it up there under, but that frame up there, I don't know if you can see it. Let me tilt it back a little bit. Can you see that up there where you see the WWA 4? I don't know if you can see it, but it's that one right up there. But anyway, that has all the students and all my former trainees that I've trained, but people like Apollo Crews,
wow,
Heath Slater, Jonathan Gresham.
Heath Slater, what a good talent. And Apollo Crews, same
Heath's
thing.
My boy. I love Heath.
Yeah.
I love Apollo too. I had so much fun when I was doing commentary. I was so wanting him to get a push. He is now, and he's such a talented young guy.
Yeah, he's down at NXT right now, and they sent him down there because they thought he was he can get over better down there. But he's been up on the big roster, and then of course you got Antoine Brewer. He's a referee down there in the WWF, and then you have Kara Hogan. That's her right there. She's in AEW. Moose, he's in Impact. Jonathan Gresham.
Hey, wait, let me start. What a nice guy Moose is.
Moose,
he came up to me in an autograph session.
Yeah.
And, he uses the term wrestling god, and I did come up with it, but I didn't come up with the rich man gimmick. I stole that from Ted DiBiase. So it's not like, I saw him using the wrestling god, and he told it to me, he goes, I just want to tell you, that there's no disrespect. I said, brother, I'm a big fan of yours. And I am. I think Moose, what a nice guy, what a talented guy.
Yeah, Moose.
To me, it's an honor to have somebody saying they're a wrestling god out there.
Well, that guy. He played pro ball for years. He came to me when he was about to retire football, and he started his training. And he was easy to train. I mean, he was like me, man. He was used to being taught. Show him something, he'd get it. I show him something, he'd get it. And I would sit him down and I'd tell him, I said, yo, man, you big as I was, so I'm going to train you like I was. This is stuff you're going to need to do and some if you want to be successful. And I showed him everything I could possibly show him. The big man stuff to do, make sure you do drop kicks, take big bumps, high, whatever. And he did that, man. And he had started training for, I'd say 5 months. And then he went back, finished playing some more football. And then he finished football and came back and finished his training as a professional wrestler. And then he graduated and went on the road like I taught him, showed him all the ropes like I do everybody. And now he's got a gig, and, it just brings joy to my soul when I see my kids on television, and Dexter Lomas, he's down there at NXT. Sam Shaw, you guys, he drew that picture right there. Yeah, that's the picture that's on everything, T-shirts and everything. So I use that. And
I got to work with Dexter in WWE. What a nice guy, talented guy.
Yeah. And then A.R. Fox, and Kenneth Johnson, and Oldenson. He's an NWA. It's just so many of them, man. I mean, some of them gonna be mad because I didn't mention their names, but they're all talented individuals, and I'm happy to see. They're making a good living. I mean, especially in the ones in WWF and AEW, those guys are making some good money. So I'm just so joyful that I can teach people the fundamentals that they need so they don't get out there and just beat their bodies up. Because if you don't know anything, you're gonna get out there and just do whatever. And without getting taught safety first, so you can have a career out of this, longevity-wise. I mean, that's what I do. I try to teach these kids, hey, man, I'm going to try to show you how to get a job on top of try to be safe inside the squared circle. Because if you want to do this for a career, your body's got to last. I mean, that's why I quit playing football, because I knew if I would have continued playing, my body would have been worse off than it is now. You know what I'm saying? And so, that's what I do now. Looking forward to, getting more students in.
Curtis, how can potential students get a hold of you? How can they get to your school? What do they need to do? What's your contact info?
Well, if you want to reach me, the phone number to the school is 404-668-7008. 668-7008. 404-668-7008. I believe that's what it is.
Okay, yeah, internet, you got
yes,
websites.
I'm sorry, I'm tripping. Yeah, and of course, Facebook is Curtis, Mr. Curtis Hughes, and then Instagram. No, I got another one. It's Total Protection, Mr. Hughes, Facebook, and then the Instagram is Bodyguard Hughes. That's the Instagram. So if you want to be a professional wrestler, you can go to those sites and look me up and leave a message. I'll get back with you. You want to be a professional wrestler and learn from the best. I'm the trainer of superstars, Total Protection, Mr. Hughes. Also, too, I got a new action figure out right now with the Legends.
Right.
Yep. And it's got a few of the boys on the back. These are for sale, too, on my Facebook page as well. So if you want to get one, just look it up. And I'll be glad to get one to you.
Well, Curtis, thanks for joining us for the show. We really appreciate it. When Jerry told me that he had talked to you, I was so excited to get you on because I've seen you several times. I've always enjoyed talking with you, and it's great to hear your story.
Well, I'm glad. I hope I hit some points, man. I hope it was a good podcast and people enjoy it. And hope they get entertained. Hope I didn't leave nothing out.
Nope. Thanks, Curtis. We appreciate it, and good luck with your school. We'll promote it on here, and hopefully you'll see a lot more stars come through because you've trained certainly a bunch up till now.
Thank you, Curtis.
Appreciate it.